Like many people, you don't necessarily think about mental health until it impacts you as an individual. That's what came and happened to me with a family member. And it's one of those things that you just don't simply recognise at the start of how much it is causing a problem. It's a really hard thing to accept and address, but when it is serious, it needs treatment straight away. It's one of those things that none of us want, none of us need, but it just occurs on a regular basis. And there's no time, there's no barriers to entry. It impacts every race, it impacts every country around the world, it impacts all individuals. And it's a terrifying thing when it happens. At a personal level, it came about that there was mistreatment occurred within the hospital. Misdiagnosis, intentional misdiagnosis, that led to all sorts of issues. But not just for us, it was for a number of other families. And through joining a number of other families, I realised that things had to change. It's really, really tough, and unfortunately the system at present is for those that shout the loudest. And if you have someone with a mental health issue, you really do need to shout to make yourself heard, and you need to get everyone you can possibly get involved to make that happen. One of the things I would like to explain to you is how the current system really isn't efficient at all. One of the people I was advocating for was suffering extremely badly with mental health, to the point of massive self-harm and overdosing. We were advocating for her to be treated properly. We were fighting with the trust to get her into hospital. It took 20 times for her to be 136'd within 2 months before that actually occurred. What is a 136? A 136 is where someone attempts to harm themselves in a very tragic way. It involves the police, it involves the hospital. They're rushed, they're blue lighted to the hospital. And on 20 times in those 2 months, that lady was thrown back out again to go and do the same thing all again, simply because she would not confirm that she would kill herself. I was there for one of those occasions. I actually even knew one of the people who was involved, and there was absolutely nothing we could do. That is not a situation that we should be in, and that should never occur. The only way we actually got her to be treated was, unfortunately, when she created a suicide plan. And I basically said to the head of the trust that they would need to resign if that person did go through with the suicide the following day. This was copied to my MP and was made effectively public through that. Fortunately, they did come to their common senses and actually get her treated. That was well over 2.5 years ago now. Fortunately, she was in the hospital for 2 years and came out in a pretty good state. So there is a positive story at the end of this, but the 2 months prior to going into hospital never should have occurred. I'm just trying to illustrate to you how serious this can become and how difficult currently the situation is. I was frustrated, I was annoyed. It's tough. But what it did do for me was make me want to do something about it. And so within a few months I actually retired, and the aim of the retirement was to work a couple of days a week helping people just on a counselling basis. And people would come to me. I never ever got any qualifications, or it was just people passed on names, and I started talking to individuals and helping individuals. And I soon came to realise that that situation wasn't logical in the long term. I wasn't going to be able to make any difference. So that's when I set about setting out the paper originally for mental health change. It was originally written in 2017. and it was with the help of one other colleague. And the two of us went up to the Houses of Parliament with our MP, Helen Grant, and we saw the Department of Health. It was rather frustrating to find that when we got to the meeting with the Department of Health, the person hadn't actually read the document that we provided them with. So after the hour-and-a-half meeting, we waited for a response. We'd waited a long time for a response. We chased up the response, and we did finally get a very detailed response, which was good. The trouble was that it was a brick wall. The response basically said everything they were doing and ignored to address the issues that we were bringing up. They had effectively created a brick wall, and in terms of time, we're talking months. This wasn't just a matter of weeks, it took them months to respond. And normally, I'm quite good at going around brick walls. That's my favourite way, rather than trying to break them down. Unfortunately, at that point, I managed to get prostate cancer, and that lasted for about a year. But it was during that time that I realised that there was a need to form a group, because listening just to myself and one other person was never going to achieve anything. And it was at that point we managed to form Mental Health Change in June 2020.